Glad this is audio and not video because we have a room of radio people here.
Yeah, and your makeup looks terrible this morning, Keith.
A room of radio people. That's what we need.
I do like the eyeliner. The eyeliner is good. Man.
Thank you. I'm Keith Vaughn, and around the table here we have other radio talents, air talents from Wichita Falls, the Cumulus group of stations. And we're going to talk about whatever just happens today here on the show. And I'm going to have to learn to back up off my microphone because I'm popping my peas. So everybody note, you'll pop your peas if you get too close to the microphone.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I thought popping the peas was something that happened on Sabor's station.
That's right, all the time.
I was going to say the bathroom is right over there.
Oh man! Well, we'll let everybody have a few moments to introduce themselves. We don't have any intro music for everybody, but we'll just go around the table and you can tell us what your intro music might be if you had some. So we'll start. Should we go right to left or left to right?
No, go right to left because I haven't thought of my song yet.
All right, Sabor, you are on the clock.
What's your language, pal?
It's DJ Sabor, a.k.a. the Fallstown Beat Rocker from Hot 103.9, and I think my theme song would be from the 2 Live Crew. Anything from the 2 Live Crew.
Anything from the 2 Live Crew.
Preferably, We Want Some. You fill in the blanks.
I hadn't heard it, or I hadn't thought about the 2 Live Crew in a long time.
Well, yesterday was the anniversary of the release of their very first album.
Oh,
really?
And a true story, one of the members actually came through the station, got to interview him, and he was actually stationed at Shepherd Air Force Base before he went to Miami to become part of the 2 Live Crew.
Wow.
That's why we're doing a podcast.
Man.
Right there. Yeah. That's the reason.
So there's a 2 Live Crew connection to Wichita Falls.
And I did not know that till I got a chance to interview him.
Wow.
And unfortunately, 2 of the members passed away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man, well, there you go. I learned something new today from Sabor.
That's
How
what
cool.
it is. That's what this empty head is always trying to fill everybody else with the empty knowledge I have.
Man. All right, we'll continue around the table. Who's that big guy down there?
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah, you're the one.
I'm kind of a little intimidated. I'm not used to talking on a microphone in front of a lot of people.
Well, there's only, 5 of us.
Oh, that's right. And we're all friends, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, except for Brad, but we're all friends. I'm Big Jim Russell. Been around for a few years. Midday guy on KLUR, and 48 years of memories to share with you on this podcast, which is what we're hoping to do. Of course, Brad's got a few more years than that, but listen.
Is that an old joke?
I should have said months. But, yeah, we do have a lot to share. And we end up sharing it with one another, and that's what gave us the idea for this thing. We just got to thinking, why don't we do a podcast?
Yeah, we do enough.
I think what we're saying, a lot of people would like to know about.
Yeah, we throw enough BS around. Let's get it on.
Yeah, that's right. Let's get it right on.
Let's make it digital.
Make it digital to everybody.
All right, now
and
tell us.
What would my theme song be?
Yeah, your walk on. Your entering the arena. What would they play?
Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Perfect.
Oh, great.
Perfect.
Oh, man. No, I'm trying to think what it would be. Mama Tried, maybe? Yeah.
Back at you, pal.
All right, to the head of the table, we have Kelly Quinn.
Hi, I am Kelly. I ended up in Wichita Falls because I am married to an Air Force guy, and Shepherd Air Force Base is right here. And today's actually our 26th wedding anniversary.
Yay, congratulations. Yay.
So
put up with you that long.
I mean, I think we're going out for lunch sushi in Wichita Falls to celebrate.
All right.
Not at the gas station over there.
No. And we're going to actually go into a restaurant this time.
Shut up.
I know.
I just want to tell you the Exxon station over there on Southwest Parkway has great sushi, just in case you're curious.
Yeah.
I used to know a girl named Sushi.
I thought you were going to say you knew a girl who smelled like sushi.
Now we know where we're going with this.
That was Tina, a.k.a. Tuna.
I am middays on 104.7 The Bear. It's a classic rock station. And I am a rocker. I have been, I have been since I've been able to choose my own music. And today I'm choosing my song. I am choosing System of a Down, Violent Pornography.
Wow.
Yeah, go hard or go home.
Listen, she comes up with band names that I think she literally makes up.
System.
And then come to find out they're totally legit.
Oh yeah, they're
System
real
is amazing,
Yeah.
and they their breakthrough albums were 21 years ago, so legitimately could be played on 104.7 The Bear with our criteria.
Well,
Phenomenal.
I have no room to doubt you, or knowledge to doubt you.
Are you saying I've gained weight?
No, I'm just
No room.
I'm
Come
just saying,
on.
unless you're talking about Merle Haggard or Conway Twitty, I don't know.
System
If I
of
know
a
him.
Down. Sounds like a drug that y'all should
We'll have to play some for you, Steve. Or Steve, no, Jim. Excuse me. Steve's not here.
Brad's turn. Brad's turn.
All right, Brad's turn.
Hi, I'm Brad Austin. I'm the morning show dude on KLUR. Matter of fact, I worked my way through high school and college at KLUR. Then I went off and got in the television business, and then I came back, and I've been here for about, I don't know, what, 1.5 million years, something like
Roughly.
that. And it's something that gets in your system. Jim and I have known each other for a really long time.
Really long time.
I mean, we both worked at KLUR when we were in a little place off of Seymour Highway called the Fremar Valley.
Yeah, well, let's make it clear. You were at KLUR before I was.
Yeah, a few months, yeah.
Few months.
As a matter of fact, I remember the very first day I met you. I think I've told the story about 1 million times. I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, and the Cowboys were going to play their first game of the season against the Baltimore Colts, and everybody picked the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Colts as being the two teams that were going to be in the Super Bowl. Couldn't wait to see this first game of the season, and you were supposed to be there. It was a Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning. The Cowboys were kicking off at noon. You did not arrive until about 1:30, and was I angry.
First impression.
You walked in the door. I was an hour and a half late for the game. Back then we couldn't record the show. So I said, turntable 1, turntable 2, turntable 3, turntable 4, ABC, microphone 1, 2, 3, 4. Good luck. See ya. And I just left the door. And you did a great job, as though you actually knew what you were doing.
Well, I did start out at that big metropolitan popular station that's known as KDDD in Dumas, Texas.
And they're
Wait,
still
wait.
on the air.
I was a ding dong daddy.
Did they drop you like triple D bras outside the studio? Like, is it only for big busted
That
women?
would have been a great promotion.
Yeah. No, it actually, in reality, stood for
Ding dong daddyville.
Ding Dong Daddies.
Did it really? For
It's
real?
an old
Oh, my
song.
gosh.
I'm a ding dong daddy from Dumas.
Of course,
You ought to see me do my
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And my music would be, I have to choose from 3, all right? Frank Sinatra is my favorite all-time artist, and Send in the Clowns by Frank would be perfect.
My way wouldn't.
I love Stephen Fromholtz, so Late Night Neon Shadows, but I have to go with the song that got me this job to begin with back in 1975. The then program director who was hiring me, named Jim Hill, he said, I know that you young guys think you know about country, but tell me about a good old country song that you love. And I really wanted to say Willie or Waylon because they were just now coming into a mainstream, but I thought instantly, I said, this guy wants me to prove I know something about classic country. So I said, Fraulein by Bobby Helms. You got the job.
Fraulein. That's another guy. I hadn't thought of that.
I would have said In the Shadows of My Mind
Well, there you
by
go.
Vernon Oxford.
Vernon Oxford. I don't know.
In the shadows of my mind, I see her just the way she used to be.
See, I hear that, and I can hear. The record scratch as it goes around.
You also hear the at the very beginning and the end. Na 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 na.
And I'm going to tell a quick story about Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly and I used to work together as the morning show host and hostess or hosts. And when I first met her, I used the same Jim Hill trick. I asked her, who is your favorite artist? Meaning, of course, we're doing a country music morning show. I wanted to hear what her favorite country artist was. And she responded to me. Do you remember what you said?
I have no idea.
Shine Down.
Well,
What the hell is Shine Down?
well, and that was a moment in time because I really liked Shine Down until I saw him live. I don't really consider myself a fan of any band until I've seen them live, and that was it. I saw him live and I was done with them.
No more. That was back in 2016. So
Yeah, that was about the right time.
Man.
So there you go. That's me.
Oh, that is good. I like it. And I like everybody's intro music, your walk-on music. That's good.
Okay, what about you?
Yeah, what was yours?
Oh, I'd probably do Live Wire from AC/DC.
Don't just assume everybody knows who you are.
Yeah,
Keith.
the
That's
intro.
a good one.
Well, you need to talk about yourself too.
Oh, I got in this business in '85. Been on the air since '86. Worked here for a long time. Left, came back, and have been here ever since. And I'm the afternoon guy on The Bear and program director and the operations guy for the other 4 stations here.
And I want to say something. Your
Yeah.
parting shot yesterday was outstanding.
Refresh my memory.
About the motorcycle wreck, but more importantly, more importantly, well, or just as important,
Yeah.
is everybody affected outside of that.
Yeah, people always go, oh, the guy that got hit, poor guy, his family.
Mm-hmm.
What about the person that pulled out and accidentally hit the guy? I always think they're crushed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's going to be a weight they'll carry forever. I
For their
always think
entire
about
life,
that,
yeah.
you know. Well, I appreciate that. Very cool. Speaking of power of radio, I was thinking about some questions to throw out at you guys. It just, get your deep thoughts on these issues.
There's nothing real deep going on here.
When it comes to radio as a medium, it's so different than the others. I was on the road today listening to the radio and thought to myself, man, there's nothing but the audio going into my ears and into my brain, and that I am interpreting all that sound however I want to. It's the theater of the mind, as they say. When was it that you first experienced, the theater of the mind as a radio listener, that you can think back and, that you were intrigued by what you were hearing, that it, got your attention, stand out? Just
When I was a kid,
yeah.
and I was only like 6 or 7 years old, and I was laying on my bed in my bedroom, and I was listening to an AM station in Amarillo, and the disc jockey played a song called Artificial Flowers. Now, I don't remember a whole lot about it because I've never heard the song since. But the lyrics of the song had such an impact on me that it carried me through my adolescence and into my teenage years to where I am today, because I was not only intrigued by the song, but I was intrigued by how the DJ brought the song on, what he had to say after the song was over with. And, it was one of those deals where I had a connection with him where I said, that's how I felt. And I was only 6 years old. So
wow.
that's power, and it's not just the song. It was everything having to do with the song being on the air.
The presentation.
Artificial flowers.
So now you know what artificial flowers are really are.
Fake.
We got dispensaries for that now.
Oh, yeah. Sabor, you got any?
My grandfather took me to the local radio station, Spanish DJ by the name of Dulce, which means candy in Spanish.
Dulce.
So I got to see him in action, real animated, the way I heard him. And I think mine was just because of the fact of the versatility that I grew up around, watching American Bandstand, Midnight Special, Soul Train. And my favorite was on a long trip in the middle of nowhere, and Casey Kasem with a long distance dedication.
Yeah.
And just looking around like, wherever you're at. And I'm like, in the middle of nowhere. But I hope they find that damn dog. Scruffy, if you're out there listening, come home. They miss you, Scruffy.
Wow, that's
But
great.
yeah, and, of course, just all the stuff that went with the different styles. I grew up with AM radio as well as Jim did. I didn't listen to Artificial Flowers, but Player, Baby Come Back.
Yeah.
I used to have a little alligator record player, and I used to play music for my grandmother while she was washing dishes. So I had the Little River Band.
Wow.
I had, like I said, one of my favorites was Player.
Yeah.
And then Baby, Baby, I'm falling in love.
Yeah.
Falling in love again. And
That's a great song.
the connection to that song is Drake, who's one of the biggest rappers now.
Yeah.
His first song, The Best I Ever Had that sample on his 30-year anniversary. And I said, that guy knows music.
That's cool.
Wow.
So it took me back nostalgic.
Let's go back to your disc jockey that you saw for the first time.
Dulce.
Dulce.
Okay.
You a little short Mexican dude.
Okay. Now you had to have done an impersonation of him. I mean,
I didn't know Spanish, so I was just like, it's like that. But that's one thing too. I also came from Spanish radio and so forth.
okay, cool.
Yeah, Spanish radio is. I mean, it's you talk about energy.
And you got to have
Yeah.
a diaphragm. I mean,
yeah.
it comes from the diaphragm. You know, your choir teacher used to say that when you're going to sing with the diaphragm because you have to push it out.
I love
because they do that, you know.
all the extra reverb.
Oh,
on
man,
everything.
Oh, the body be the water.
Yeah, and echo.
Contigo.
Mucho gusto te los están.
Continuamos con Kelly.
And that's my name.
Talking Heads.
Early memories.
Oh, okay. So first off, I grew up in Western Pennsylvania in the Rust Belt. So I grew up in a steel town. And when I was in elementary school, steel left the country for the most part. So I grew up in a very depressed part of the country at the time. And we didn't have rock radio. There was not a rock radio station that came through. We didn't have a Spanish or Hispanic population, so there was no Mexican radio stations. What I did have was WHOT Hot FM 101, which is at 101.1 on the dial. And there was a morning show with JC and Kelly, which I always loved because that was my name. Right. But it was sometime in my childhood while I'm trying to record songs off of the radio onto my little turquoise cassette player that it popped in my head that these people are with me no matter where I'm at. If I'm listening in my room or I'm listening in my car or whatever, it dawned on me that they were always there. And that kind of translates into coming into radio here, like being able to be there, be someone, be the love and light for someone who's either homebound or incarcerated or just kind of going through a hard time and feeling abandoned by whatever, friends or family. You can be a constant because you're always there or can be in their home or in their car or nowadays in their ears through the app or what have you.
And no matter what they're doing, because one of the first things you learn as a salesperson in radio is that we have an intrusive media. In other words, it's one of those things where you can't fast forward it, you know, and it's always there. No matter what it is, you can do everything and still listen to the radio. Drive down the road, wash the dishes, vacuum the carpet. You can still have the radio playing in the background, and that's something you can't get with any other medium. You have to stop and do something, or stop and watch something.
Yeah.
With radio,
Or stop, collaborate, and listen.
That's
ding,
right.
ding, 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 ding. Oh, sorry.
or stop in the name of love.
Which they made.
Well-
They made a country version of that one that's coming out actually.
For real?
Ice Ice.
Can't wait.
That's crazy.
I
I wonder if Queens will get royalties from that one as well.
Probably. No,
Yeah,
it's
Beyonce
different. You see,
will.
It's
As-
acoustic.
It's ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding.
as Rob Van Winkle says, no, his is way different. Mine is ding, 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 ding. Theirs is ding, 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 ding. Okay, thank you, RVW.
Well, you know, Kelly and Jim make a point that we in this business, I do for sure. I get forgetful and jaded to being a listener and the experience, and occasionally I get rudely reminded that people are listening. You know, I don't know how many times somebody has come up to me and said, "Well, I heard what you said on the radio the other day." I'm like, "What did I say?" And they tell me, and I'm like, "Oh, you completely misinterpreted what you only heard a part of it. Let me explain that." And they were crushed over it. And when I explained it, they were much better.
Yeah.
But it had an impact on them enough that they wanted to discuss it. And on the other hand, how much we connect with people on just a straight up emotional level. I had a situation where a man called me 12 years ago, and he used my little catchphrase, "How the hell are you, Vaughn?" thing. And I caught him on the 360 editor, and I saved it, and I would use it as a drop. I don't know, it was 5 or 6 years ago. A kid called me, and he says, "Keith, I want to thank you for playing my granddaddy
Oh man.
every day." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Well, he passed away 3 years ago." And he goes, "And every time I listen to your show, I hear his voice." And he goes,
Wow.
It really makes my day.
You never know when you're touching somebody.
Yeah.
And that's the personal thing about radio too. I mean, is the fact that I don't want to give away any secrets, and I don't. Went, oh no! But you couldn't go back and fix that, and that was a very strong lesson for me at the very beginning. This is serious business. I mean, you better know what you're doing. And so, trust me, in that next couple of weeks that I had the opportunity to do Midnight to 6, and I don't know how many people heard it, and I never had anybody comment on it, because I probably didn't have anybody listening because they didn't like that new disc jockey on KPUR because he talked over the top of the Beatles. But anyway, that was my initial kickoff into radio back in 1975-ish.
Wow. Talked on top of Hey Jude.
Man.
Bell-bottom pants on.
You're a legend.
I can honestly tell you I've never done it since.
It's just because you don't play Hey Jude.
There you go. There you go.
Just give me a chance to screw
No, isn't Sammy Kershaw, he has a cover of Hey Jude, doesn't he?
I don't know.
That's a little humor. Very little, apparently.
Now his tribute is his shoes. Hey, dude.
All right, Sabor, tell us about your first open mic moment.
Well, there was a local DJ, Spanish radio. He wanted to go get off on Saturday night. No pun intended. He just wanted to go dancing. So he said, man, you cover me, I'll get you the job and all that. So he showed me what to do and all that. Thing is the way they had it, they had a record player here. They had a CD here. I forgot we're on audio, not video, but I'm putting like where my hand is over here and then my other hand is over there. So it wasn't very ergonomically set up, wasn't friendly.
Yeah.
And then I remember it was La Fiebre. That was the Fever. They were a popular group, one of my favorite groups at the time in the 90s. Every other song was off of their No Cure album. Their No Cure.
Oh, the Morgan Wallen of the 90s.
That's it. Yeah. Except back then the Tejanos had the mullets too and all that. Yeah. So yeah, needless to say, I ended up there and editing and doing all kinds of stuff. And then I remember one night on the vent, as I was talking, as I turned on the mic, literally brushed the back of my head and missed me.
Oh,
it
my.
fell out of the
But
ceiling.
you could hear it. It sounded like, what the hell is going on there? We hope the DJ's okay. But if I would have been like sitting back a little bit, I probably wouldn't be here talking.
Wow.
True story.
Man.
Or I would have been a very rich man.
Jeez.
From the lawsuit.
Oh, that's great.
Well, this isn't my first thing that happened in the radio, because I went through the first 3 or 4 weeks without many instances. I was at KNIN AM 990. We were a bubblegum station here in Wichita Falls in the 6th floor of the Hamilton building. And when I say bubblegum, I was a rocker back then, man, and I really hated the fact that I was playing this bubblegum crap.
Yeah, top
and a lot of folks don't know this, but when you turn the microphone on in most radio stations, the monitors go off so you can't hear. And we had to, back in those days, we had 45 RPM records, and you had to cue them up. Otherwise, they go when you start them up. So I was trying to cue this record up. Well, I had left my microphone on. This has probably happened to everybody. I left my microphone on, and so I wasn't hearing the cue speaker. So what was going on here? So I said, F.
Yeah.
And I kept trying. I said, F again. So then I realized that the microphone was on, and so I turned the microphone off, and then I thought, this is going to prove what a dumbass I am. I turned the microphone back on because I wondered if they could hear me saying F. I turned the microphone back on and I went F. Had my headphones on this time. I found out, yes, indeed, they could hear me say. So I turned it back off. And
nice hat trick.
Back then in the day, you see, the engineer was out there on Owl Park Road, 1,000,000 miles from there. But there was a hotline that he could pick it up in the engineer office back over there, and it would ring in the studio. So I picked up the line. I said, KNIN studio. And he goes, yeah, this is the engineer. Why are you saying the F word? And I told him, I said, well, I said it accidentally and then I wanted to see if you could hear. And he said, wait a minute. You turned the microphone back on purpose and then said it again. And I said, yeah, I wanted to hear. Well, why didn't you just go, whoo, or hey, or just say,
check 1 2, check 1 2.
yeah. I said, because I'm the most stupid human being who ever lived. And he said, I could probably corroborate that. Yes.
I got another F word for you. Fired!
Yeah, exactly.
You're fired.
And the old boy, I said to him, I said, you're not going to, Mr. Walker, Bob Walker was the guy that owned the radio station at the time. You're not going to tell Mr. Walker about this. No, but he listens 24/7, so I'm sure he heard it. And so every day that I saw Mr. Walker after that, I knew he was going to. Apparently, he never heard. Engineer didn't tell, and it's entirely possible at 12:15 in the morning, nobody actually heard it.
Because otherwise, you'd be the most popular cell phone salesman in Wichita Falls.
This is back in, I think, 1972 or 3, something like that.
All right, fine. The most popular transistor radio salesman at Sears.
Okay, Kelly, it's your turn.
My first radio experience was at KAFA when I was in college, and I didn't think that I was ever going to be an on-air personality. It's just I liked the people who were there, and I wanted to hang out. So, and the first time I was ever like on pop radio was a couple years later. There was a DJ in town, and I thought he just thought I was a cool chick. He knew I was with my now husband, and he had me come intro a song. It was Bop by the Hanson.
Bop, diddly bop, boom, bop, squiddly bop.
That's amazing. Are you one of the Hanson brothers?
I am.
Is your real name Brad Hanson?
Bubblegum.
Hey, I think we might get a copyright strike. That was so accurate.
So on it.
Yeah, and after that, he came over and made spaghetti at my house, and it took me that long to figure out that, oh, this guy doesn't think I have a great voice or a future in radio. He thinks that I'm available.
Yeah.
You know, this sounds a lot like the plot to Pitch Perfect. You know?
Casting couch.
which okay, you've got me. Pitch Perfect is one of my two favorite.
Those lecherous radio guys. I swear.
Okay, all right. So listen, Pitch Perfect is one of my favorite movies.
As is mine as well.
You can go ahead and judge me.
No.
It's fine. My other one is Fight Club. But when I watch Pitch Perfect, they have the same soundboard in the college studio that we have in ours. And the last time I was watching it, now my husband's a fighter pilot, so he's about super fun to watch Top Gun with. But I'm watching this, and I go, that gauge is not moving. She's listening to stuff that's on the air, and that they're not broadcasting. And it's like I couldn't help myself. And I did it with absolutely zero irony, but
I love that.
It's like watching WKRP and they're on the air with no headphones.
Oh yeah. And when they turn the mics on, you can still hear the monitors.
Yeah.
The equivalent to that is in Top Gun when they take their oxygen mask off so that they can talk. It's like, no, you need that to breathe. You need the headphones to hear.
And you're surprised they didn't have a consultant right there saying, you can't do that. You know?
Well, they probably did, and the guy, it looks better if we do it.
Right. Well, how am I gonna know he's talking through his eyes?
Yeah.
Which honestly should be covered with a visor anyway.
Have you seen Dunkirk?
Oh,
The
wow.
movie Dunkirk.
Yeah, what a great movie.
Who's the actor that is in the Spitfire? I can't remember his name. But he never takes
It's
his...
Tom Cruise, isn't it?
No.
It should be.
Oh, it's the
Isn't he
British...
the lead in all movies about planes?
It's Tom Hardy is who it is, Tom Hardy. And the whole movie, he's covered in his mask. You never see anything but his eyes until the very end. And what an acting job. I mean, with no face. at
Just
all.
your eyes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a great
Kind of
job.
like us.
And your voice.
Just our mouth.
Yeah.
So back to spaghetti. Now, when you make spaghetti, do you think about that, DJ?
You want to hear the worst part of that meal?
It was horrible.
He messed up spaghetti. How do you I mean, it wasn't like homemade pasta or anything. I mean, like, he messed up ragu and pre-made pasta.
He didn't
was
put water.
nervous.
He didn't put water in the SpaghettiOs. That's what happened.
He was distracted. He was nervous.
Yeah, he was nervous.
All right, it's obvious everybody's got stories. So let's let's have a campfire. Let's tell some stories.
Isn't that a whole Uncle Ted song?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, like a Ted Nugent campfire.
Yeah.
For the brotherhood. I've got a ton of stories, but I'll let you guys start first. And I know Sabor, you got to have some stories from over the years.
I've got some stories. Some of them I shouldn't tell. They're coming on my podcast, Confessions from the DJ booth, followed by the book. Lawyer just said, don't say the years. Don't say the name of the club. Definitely don't say the name of the person.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Now, on radio, it's theater of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when you interact with people, when you make them feel like they really know you. Well, unfortunately, somebody thought they really knew me. And so they thought it was cool to let this lady call from a mental health facility. And she thought she was going to marry me when she got out, which, I'm all about marriage.
How long have you two been together?
Our crazy toxic relationship works. Because, you know why? Because I say, you know what? Let's not get to know each other. Let's just go to arguing. That's the way I like to meet my woman.
Straight to it. Yeah.
So she called every day. It was, innocent.
Yeah.
She just wants to talk to you and listen to a song. So I did that. At that time, my son used to go to a nearby boys club. Well, it got to a point where she started calling and saying that, hey, I knew that you dropped off your son over there and that you get off at a certain time. And I was like,
yeah.
That's
somebody was
scary,
obviously
man.
watching for him but feeding information. But then
Yeah.
it just got dark. I think after a while, that's when you really feel like, you know what? Some people really think too much of you in the wrong space. But
Yeah.
that was one of the dark moments. I mean, there's some other good moments, but like I
I
said,
think
you got to
that-
wait for mine.
The big clue there was call from the mental health
Yeah.
facility. You could tell.
I mean, it's funny. It was. I mean, I had to record some of the stuff just so that way, just in case. I had to obviously get my son out of that boys club
Gotta
and
have some
move
proof.
him somewhere else.
Oh man, I had my own run-in with a mentally deranged person one time, and it went on for a number of months. They would call while I was on the air and make these crazy accusations, and they were so nuts that they'd start to really piss you off after a while.
What kind of accusations?
Well, that I had a fleet of cars that went around to this elementary schools and sold porno to children.
Really?
Okay, well, when you started
Yeah,
off with
stuff like that.
I had like a rumor that you had a fleet of cars. I'm like, well, that's actually true. But then the elementary school and porn, yeah.
And there was, other weird things, but I would get these calls from this person. And then one day I came to, this is when I worked at KLUR back in college. And I came to work one afternoon and I was killing time sitting up front with the receptionist. I can't remember her name, but it was a little sweet girl that worked up front. She was nice as hell. So I was killing time up there, and this woman walks in like a customer or a advertiser. And she's like, "Can we help you?" And she says, "Yes, I need to speak with Keith." And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Well, I'm right here." She obviously didn't know what I looked like, or she would have known. Anyway, I said, "What can I help you with? What is this about?" And she says to me, probably about, I don't know, 5 to 10.
Oh.
And I'm
like dollars? Was she hungry?
No. So I'm like, okay. So I immediately ushered her out the front door into the parking lot where we discussed whatever it was she had on that she was talking about. Because when she said 5 to 10, I was like, what's going on? So we get out there, and immediately what she starts to say is weird, just far out stuff. I mean, so I make a signal back to the office, like, come out here. receptionist girl comes out, and I told her to go get our boss, Sam Beard, the man. Sam comes out. He talks to her. We all go into the building and go into the meeting room, and Sam, very much like a lawyer, okay, ma'am, tell us, what is it that you're... So she starts going off, and I'm sitting across the room livid because everything she is saying is just the most bizarre, crazy talk I'd ever heard. And Sam is like, yes, and every time I would say something, he'd go, Keith, now just hold on. I'm like, ugh. Well, anyway, eventually, when it was all over with, he just basically told her that I don't think there's any validity to what you're saying, but I'm glad you came by and let us know and all this kind of thing. Well, anyway, this went on for another 4 to 6 months. This crazy phone calling every night. And this was back when I smoked. I pulled one of those to go out front and smoke things. And I walk out in the front of the building, and there's a El Camino parked out there, and I'm like, who is that? And all of a sudden the door opens up, and out steps that woman. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I hope you retreated like a turtle.
Oh, yeah. Went back in the building, called the cops, and they come and they do the whole search the car. There's nothing in the car. She's clean as can be.
How much for the El Camino?
So anyway, more to the story. She keeps calling me, and she keeps saying stuff like, I've reported you to the FBI, and they know all about you, and they're going to come get you, and all this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, one day, just for the hell of it, I thought, she says she's called the FBI? Really? So I'm going to call them. So I called the local FBI office. And the guy answers the phone, and I tell him who I am, and I start talking, and I'm not even 15 seconds into it. He goes, oh, yeah, Laura. Yeah, she calls here. And I'm like, oh, my God, you know her name? Yeah. She calls all the time. We've heard her. She told us all about you. She says that you've got cameras set up in her house and that you've been over there messing with her water sprinkler. And I'm like,
Aw.
oh, my gosh. She goes, yeah, she's pretty crazy,
Well, she was overwatering.
Well, she would call me on the air, and she would say, I put my sprinkler out, and now you have moved it again. If you come over here and get in my yard, I will shoot you. And I'm like, don't even know where you live.
Keith, it was just her way of trying to be affectionate.
So the FBI guy was very much a big help. And this one made me feel even better. He goes, yeah, you, and there's a girl over at KNIN that she messes with. And I'm like, oh, thank God there's somebody else. But
Wow. She liked country and pop.
I guess so. But to fast forward even more, all of a sudden it all stopped. Everything ended. So I again called the FBI guy and talked to him, and he said, yeah, her family finally figured out a way to get her some help. So she's in Arizona now. So
Sound like a baby reindeer episode.
Yeah.
Who's your stalker, Brad?
Well, I'd like to switch gears a little bit because
A little dark.
Those are kind of some sad or scary or bad stories.
Or dark.
Dark. We're going to go the opposite direction here. As a matter of fact, this happened just the other day. For 27 years, I've been talking to this family, and they call. We do a birthday segment on the morning show at 7:35 every morning, and we say happy birthday and anniversaries, et cetera, and give away cake from one of our local bakeries here, Circle M Bakery.
Did I win it today?
Yeah, you did, as a matter of fact. And these people, this wonderful family, they call in each other's birthdays every single year, and I've got to know them. I've never met a single one of them. And the matriarch of the family, her name is Esther, and I've fallen in love with this woman, and she with me. And it's a 27-year relationship, never met her. And then on Monday, it was her birthday, her 83rd birthday. And I was getting ready to leave here, and one of our salespersons comes to me, and she says, there's somebody at the front door that wants to meet you. And I went, it's Miss Esther. And Sam was like, what? Do you know who it is? So I went straight to the front door, and there they were, the family. And Miss Esther she's 83, like I say, and she's frail. She's in not the greatest health, but she wanted to finally get around to meet me. And I had been talking about a particular artist on the air that morning. So she brought me a magazine that had this artist on the front page of it. And it was hugs and kisses and pictures, and the family was there, and they told me how much she loved me. And I said how much I love you. So everything isn't bad in this business. And on Monday, everything, all of those frustrating things that happen with people who listen to the radio, it was all made to go away because I had this beautiful time with Tina and Esther and their family, and it was just a blessing after 27 years of talking with these people to meet them. And so, yeah, it was a great time for me.
See, that could have been us, girl. If you weren't so damn crazy.
All you had to be is nice.
Now,
Not crazy.
Kelly, she gets letters all the time from people.
Yeah,
I
Kelly.
do get letters, but I would like to talk about a particular gentleman who used to like to come to the studio. And when I was doing mornings with Brad, and I absolutely also adored when Esther would call in. Mm-hmm. This dude comes in. He's so drunk you can smell the vodka on him, which is a lot of vodka. And he's got that. He looks skinny and maybe frail, but he's got this like vodka power lifter muscles, which I didn't know was a thing. And he would call in, and he would call the station, and we would we'd be nice enough to him, but let him know, hey, cool it. And he walks in one day, and he's coming into the studio to get me, and Brad gets between me and this dude and physically braces against both sides of the door with his hands and his feet, and will not let this guy come into the studio. He was persistent and undeterred. And so, like, when, we would do these remote broadcasts, we're broadcasting over the air, hey, I'm going to be at this specific location at this specific time. He would walk to them. He would walk to these remotes. He walked to, not Husky Hat Company, but what was the jean store that was right beside it?
The Browse Shop.
Oh, the Browse
Shop.
Yeah.
He walked
Browse
out.
Shop.
It is beside nothing. It is in the middle of nowhere. He walked to the Browse Shop.
Man.
For this. And then a couple of remotes later, I was doing something down at the Iron Horse pub, and he shows up there, and he physically puts hands on me.
Ooh.
And
Yikes.
thank God I live in Wichita Falls, because some cowboy of a man steps in and physically takes this person off of me, and I was shaken. And he's like, "No, we got you."
Man.
To lend credence, not that she needs it, but to lend credence to how bizarre this man is that she's talking about. Many years ago, Bill Clinton came to Wichita Falls. He went to First United Methodist Church to speak.
Right.
And the only person in town that the FBI looked up to cordon him off to make sure that he would not be at First United Methodist Church during this was this guy Kelly's talking about.
Hey, I appreciate that for watching out for me. It could have been disastrous.
Wow.
A man with taco vodka.
That's crazy.
Now I'd like to play Amazing Grace on my saxophone.
Man. Those are good stories. I had years ago when I worked at QB, I was working overnight. I just got on the air. I'd been there, 30 minutes, and answered the request line. And I'm ready to get some people talking and recording calls and putting them on the air. And this woman calls, and she starts berating me about being a part of Satan's army and how the music that we play is destroying children and lives and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Is there anything you want to hear? No. And she goes on and she starts reading the Bible and stuff, and I'm like, so I just hang up. I don't even play. So
Running with the Devil came right in after that one.
So I go on and I do my whole show, and the syndication starts the next morning at 6. And when the sun starts coming up, I reach over to the window to open the blind, get some sunshine in there. And I open the blind, and on the window glass outside are pages of the Bible taped to the window. Covers the entire window. She came up, someone, I'm assuming it was her, came up in the night and did that in the dark right outside the studio where I was.
That is so creepy, dude.
And I was going back and forth to my car a few times during the night. This person could have been around the corner. Mm-hmm. And this was the days before cell phones. So, but man, I would have taken a photo. That was the creepiest thing. But management no big deal. They pulled it off. Weird people. No big deal. Don't worry about it. I'm like, don't worry about it. What do you mean don't worry about it?
This is a woman who would desecrate the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
There's no telling what she would do.
I thought about that too. She was so religious, but yet would pull. I mean, they were ripped. Some of them were ripped. And I was, oh, wow.
It's really hard to get scissors close to a binding.
And in those...
Ask me how I know.
And in those days, QV was like right next to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
It was right next door.
She's probably banned from Christian Mingle. For sure.
So that was a weird deal.
Well,
and then Matt Martin comes in later that morning to do his show.
The dean of Wichita Falls Radio.
Yeah, and I even told him what it was, and to him it was like, don't worry about it. No big deal. Crazy people out there. All right, go on. Who was next?
We had a lady that we literally called Crazy Lady, and she.
Wait, that's what you call me?
Well,
you like legitimately, you'll go, "Hey, how's it going, crazy lady?"
well, you're number 2. Now, this lady was like decades ago, and she acted like she was rich, but she really wasn't. But she acted like she was.
Yeah.
And she really wanted to buy affection from all the different DJs, and it wasn't just me; it was all of us. She absolutely, literally loved KLUR, and she just worshipped the ground we walked on. And so, we would get these gifts every once in a while, and there wasn't anything we could do about it because they weren't our size, and they were specifically for us. And Sam just kind of flipped it off like it wasn't any big deal, which was odd for Sam because he didn't want anything like that happening. But he also said, this lady just loves you guys so much and she has to care for somebody. She actually had a son. She actually had a husband. But she spent her many, many hours for months at a time doing this for us for a couple of years. And then she all of a sudden disappeared. But boots, hats, Western shirts, belts, buckles.
I want that stalker.
That's what I'm saying. Why can't I get that one?
She was literally buying us everything, and she would put it in a box and have it wrapped up and have a card with our name on it and put it out there, and it was just to sign in the bottom right corner CL.
See that
Crazy Lady.
Not only is that kind of creepy, it's also endearing at the same time.
But and Brad talking about endearing, I have to bring up Gladys Huffman.
Yeah.
Gladys Huffman lived in Archer City, Texas, and she was not a young lady at the time. And this was 35 years ago. And she called every single day because she wanted to hear either Ricky Van Shelton or Dolly Parton. She loved both of them, but mainly Ricky Van Shelton. She loved Ricky Van Shelton. So, and she would call in and we'd talk. And just like Brad was talking about, it was the most pleasant conversation. She was so sweet. She couldn't be any kinder. And she had a lot of family and friends in and around the area that I would bump into and says, "Oh, you're the one that goes and talks to Gladys Huffman and goes and sees her and stuff like that." And I said, "Yeah." And Gladys would want to make me a sandwich. And so I would drive all the way to Archer City, Texas to have a sandwich with Gladys. And she just lived in one of these, low-income little apartments all by herself. And she was self-sufficient, and she would make me a sandwich. And then she started bragging about her desserts. And I said, well, I'm going to have to taste one of those desserts. Well, sure enough, it wasn't a couple of weeks later that she's calling up saying, "So when are you going to come eat your chocolate pie? When are you going to come have your banana pudding?"
Ooh.
And so I would go and I would have that. And we'd have the most pleasant conversations. And she was so sweet. And she was always that way. And then she started calling up all the other DJs and talking to them. And then one fateful day at the radio station, we get a promotion from Ricky Van Shelton, and it's a life-size cardboard cutout of Ricky Van Shelton.
No.
And we all got together real quick and we said, we've got to give this to Gladys.
Gladys is going to need an apartment for 2 after this.
all of us signed it, and all of us, we all signed it and everything. And then I took that over to her house, and you would have thought that's got to be the greatest gift she's ever received in her life, the way that she acted about it. She just thought it was just the neatest thing, that it was not only Ricky Van Shelton, but it was also signed by all of her friend disc jockeys. And she was just, and I still have a lady that contacts me regularly on Facebook reminding me that she is the granddaughter of Gladys Huffman.
Wow.
And that she'll never forget what we did for Gladys, because her final years on this planet, she had some great friends that did some sweet things for her, and there was no ulterior motive in anything. It was just the fact that we just liked her and wanted to spend time with her. And that,
Wow.
that's the great ones. But, we got people like C.W. Starr, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for years.
Yeah, C.W. Starr was a big, big fan of ours. And as the years progressed, he digressed. And to the point that he was literally living in one of the abandoned homes downtown that had been acquired by Faith Mission to be renovated into a shelter. And he wouldn't get out.
Oh, man.
And I saw him the first couple of times when I first got back, around the turn of the century. But I mean, 48 years, I don't really have a whole lot of memories.
No.
from all these fans. But we could do a full program on them.
Well, there's a whole bunch. I was just, I worked on KLUR as a DJ from late 89 to like 92 or 3. I can't remember exactly.
Is that when you forced yourself to raise your voice higher?
Yeah, that was the time. And I remember my first night on the air, one of the first calls I got was from some woman who introduced herself and welcomed me to KLUR. A listener welcoming me to KLUR. I thought that was just craziness.
And there was May
Oh,
Bishop.
it's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
There was May Bishop. May Bishop would call every night when I was 6 to midnight. She would call every night, and she would ask for a George Jones song. Well, I got so tired of her playing the same songs by George Jones, all of his singles, that we had the freedom to go to the album library.
Once an hour.
And so when May Bishop would call, I would go and do an obscure album cut of songs by George Jones. And she just flipped out that we could do that on our radio station. We didn't have to just play his hits, that we could play anything by George Jones. And she was a fan of mine for, had to be 3 or 4 years while I was doing the nights.
Was one of the songs "Drunk on My Lawnmower"?
I think
not drunk enough, so I'm going to drive it to the bar.
I think it was called Artificial Flowers.
It was called Artificial Flowers. That's what it was.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, that's right.
Kelly's got some very loyal listeners.
She does. I tried to press her into it a while ago.
They're all, they're just locked into her real tight.
They all have the same. They're all working for the governor, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But they're not confined. They do have freedoms occasionally.
And they wait.
Man.
They can't wait to get out.
I love a captive audience.
It's hilarious because when the mail comes and it's got that address at the top, you can tell when it's from a
It has an inmate number.
Yeah. No one gets more mail than Kelly here.
Somebody else read
And
that
I'm
letter
talking about
first.
in the history of not KLUR.
Well,
but
then
the
there's no
penitentiary.
telling where those stains on them
history
came
of it
from.
being out there, because listen, I even got there was an artist, and you've seen some beautiful artwork, haven't you?
Oh,
I have
man.
gotten some amazing. Well, that's part of it. Is the prisoners don't know what I look like. They can only hear my voice.
Yeah.
And so there's one who has drawn me several versions of what he thinks I look like. And it turns out I have enormous tits and green nipples.
I did not know that.
Well, that's what I assumed.
HR.
I thought that was my little secret.
So when you go to the phone line and say Bear 104, you got to collect call from an inmate.
Yeah.
No, this is. I mean, the beautiful artwork. I mean,
It's amazing.
They sent drawings to me that I was able to use as a card for like a birthday or something for a family member or whatever. Christmas time. Beautiful decorations and absolutely beautifully done in pencil and in colored pens. That were just so intricate.
Hey, remind me, I'll have to show you a great piece of artwork that I got when I did Mornings on the Bear, Tim and myself. Again, they don't see us. They can only imagine what we look like. And this prisoner drew myself and Tim as a scrotum and a penis.
That's pretty accurate.
Sitting in a radio studio. No joke.
That would be amazing. Can we get it blown up to poster size?
I've got I think it's in my office.
The Adventures of Peter and Dick.
Wait.
Yeah.
Keith.
Yes.
A love story.
I definitely have a favorite between the two. Were you the scrotum?
Well,
Were you
I think.
Well, let's just put it this way. Keith once went to a costume party dressed as a German soldier.
Yes.
So you can take that from there with the helmet.
From the helmet down.
Well, the name on the.
Were you also wearing a turtleneck?
Well, no. The guy drew our logo, and it said Vaughn and the sack. So I'm assuming I must have been the penis. I'm guessing.
Wow, a place of honor.
Oh man.
Hamburger, help us.
Yes.
And he's like, we salute you.
Yeah. When that artwork came in, I was like, "Oh, Tim, shit, we can't hang that up anywhere."
Oh, that's a T. That's
Dude,
t-shirt material, dude.
I would hang that up everywhere.
That's billboard stuff.
Oh man. Oh, that's greatness. Well, we're running slowly out of time. We'll be doing this again in the future. We'll kind of narrow it down a little bit as to subject matter and what we'll talk about. But it was fun getting everybody in here. Some people aren't here, and we need to make fun of them before we leave. So first one we need to make fun of is the one that's most obvious, and that would be Steve Bailey, who's not here.
Steve has a mullet.
He looks like a Pat Travis Tritt.
But he's in denial about that.
One of my favorite things to do is in the afternoons when I've got a little time on my hands, I'll go out and I'll sit on the couch.
Your favorite, Lindy's favorite.
Yeah, and Steve will be in his studio working. But what he's really doing is he's posing for his daily selfie for his post on Facebook.
You mean those aren't all the same picture?
No. And it takes him like 20 minutes to get the picture that works for him. So he's in there like posing. No. Take another. No, that's not the one. He works on it forever.
It's exactly the same pose, though.
It is, though, but it's a different shot every time.
The only difference is he has on a different shirt.
He says, well, the light twinkles on my eye on this one.
And the other thing, and Jim brought it up earlier just now, our manager here, Lindy Parr, just has no mercy on Steve.
He lives for about 3:30 every afternoon.
Yes.
To come to the radio station and sit directly across from Steve and make his life miserable.
Yes. It's hilarious.
Because it's the way that Steve takes it. He actually does take it pretty well, but not really.
Yeah.
So it's the but not really part that Lindy just feeds off of. And I mean, he beats that dead horse until it won't even stand up.
Yeah. Now, what's really bad, though, is days where Lindy won't come by. Steve will go, wonder why Lindy didn't, so he
likes the attention.
I think he misses it.
It's classic battered spouse syndrome right there. If I don't get hit, he doesn't love me.
That's toxicity.
So true.
The toxicity they have.
Also, a great System of the Down album.
That's what I'm saying.
There you go.
Toxicity, dude.
Forgot about that.
So, Steve, if you're listening, don't miss the next one.
Yes, no doubt.
Who else is missing?
Well, we're missing Kid Cameron.
Yeah.
Kid's got a job that's got him.
What? He's got a job?
Yeah, he's doing other things besides radio.
Doing grown man stuff.
Really? Wow.
I heard about that. I never wanted to try that.
I once walked in on my dad doing grown man stuff.
Oh, man.
Well, that's a whole other program. And then of course we can't leave out my PIC, my little bud.
Yeah.
My big and short.
Yeah.
There's Big and Rich, and there's me and James Cook.
And where does today find James? Is he on the road?
I'm sure he's out doing a gig somewhere.
On the road again.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. This guy, of all, and a lot of the DJs have tried to be successful in the music business, and in the years that I've been here, but nobody has taken it to the pinnacle that this guy has.
Yeah.
And I think he's still very much in the way of being able to go even further with his music career, but every performance he does, he just gets better and better and better and better. And he's an incredible singer, an incredible songwriter, an incredible musician, and he just lives it. And the great thing about James Cook is the fact that he started out as a rocker, and then he was given the opportunity to be the program director for a Texas Red Dirt music station, and he went full on out. Yep. And even though
but we still love him.
He still loves rocking, but he's really and not so much in Texas Red Dirt as much as Americana, because he's so diverse that it literally takes him out of that genre into the Americana genre, and he's had top 10 songs on the Texas charts.
Yeah.
And he's been played on big radio stations.
All right, so he's a great musician. We get it, but
DJ of the year.
But what I like about James is he's just a damn fun guy.
He's funny. He's fun and funny. We go to the Outlaws and Legends Music Festival every year because there ain't nothing better than taking a road trip with James Cook. You just get there in a whole new attitude and a whole new latitude.
Hey,
Wow.
First time I ever met James, I didn't know it. I was at the Iron Horse pre-show for Queen for a Day, the Queen tribute band.
And they're awesome.
And there was this table of people in the very front. And as the night began, the band hit the stage, and this one guy from this table jumped to his feet, arms in the air, was animated beyond animated all night long, running back and forth. I mean, just fist pumping. I leaned into my wife and I said, "Who would he? I wish this guy would sit the hell down because he's more of a show than the guy on stage, you know." So the night comes and goes. 6 months later, James Cook comes to interview for a job here at the station.
And you're like, turn around. Let me see what you look like from the back, jumping up and down.
He walks in the building, and I'm like, it's the guy from the Queen for a Day show. And it was James. And,
You got the job.
and after we interviewed, I said, by the way, were you at the Iron Horse recently for the Queen for a Day show? Oh my God, those guys are awesome. Oh my God. You know, and I was like, yeah, I remember. Yeah, you do love them. I can tell. Oh man. Yeah, James is quite animated. I love, he's a good dude. And like you said, hardworking. I can barely just deal with the radio end of my job.
Yeah.
To be in radio and a traveling musician. Oh,
Got to be
gosh.
tough.
Yeah, got to be.
And might I add, he's a hell of a family man.
Yeah, he is.
He's a
too,
great
yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, Stacy is just an absolute angel, and he knows it. And he leans on her a lot, I know, because she's I think been personally responsible for a turnaround
Yeah.
for James.
Well,
and-
she allows James to be James.
which nobody
If that
really
makes-
allowed that before.
If that makes sense, you know.
James is always going to be James.
Well, true. Well, I always tell people that my wife gave me a stability where I was able to chase radio and not have to worry about, food and gas. I mean, we were going to be taken care of because we had both had work. But, a lot of people get in this business and they starting out, you starve.
There's a whole nother program.
That's a whole other one right there.
We got them.
No doubt. Oh man. Well, let's we'll run around the table. Any last words, Sabor?
Nope. I'm good. I think we covered it all.
What about you, Jim?
You're supposed to plug your station and tell people to listen to you and win and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
They know I'm mad.
Do your sign off. Do your sign off. Here we go.
As always, increase the peace. Remember to hug your children. Strive to achieve what you believe, because with a lot of hard work, dedication, motivation, and most importantly, education, you can reach each and every goal. Turn that negative energy into a positive outlook. Think before you act. And remember to change human being to being human, and you'll make a difference.
We should have finished with that because I ain't going to try to follow that.
Let's leave it at that. We'll do sign offs later on.
Mic drop. I'm out.
I think that might be a good idea right there.
Let's
All
leave it
right.
alone, man.
It's been fun. We'll do it again. Yay.